Hey folks, today's topic is sales forecasting. Sales forecasting always reminds me of this toy that I had when I was a kid. It was called a magic 8-ball. I don't know if they're still around, so I'm just going to tell you what it is. It was this 8-ball, like a pool table ball, and you would ask it a question and then you would shake it, and there was like this water inside or fluid inside of some kind, and it would like pop out an answer. And sales forecasting to some extent is very much the same. You're throwing a bunch of stuff into your magic 8-ball and popping out an answer. It is generally never 100% accurate. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. It tends to be a topic that students tend to have a lot of frustration with. That's okay. That's what I'm here for. If you find yourself really grappling with this stuff after watching the lecture and working through the examples, let's connect. I can generally help you through this with 1 or 2 Zoom sessions, or even do it through email. So if you listen to this lecture, or if you watch this lecture and you find it challenging, go back, watch it one more time, and then loop me in, and let's see what we can do to make it more clear for you. Today's topic, sales forecasting, or creating your sales forecast. And your sales forecast basically provides your investor with an estimate of your revenues for your first months of operations. For our purposes, we're going to do our first 12 months of operations. And really importantly, with your sales forecast, you need to have a rationale. You need to be able to explain to your potential investor where your numbers are coming from. And so your rationale is really just a brief narrative that talks about how you came to the sales conclusions that you came to. Your sales forecast will enable you to calculate potential revenues for your financial plan. This is where your revenues on your income statement will come from. And again, you have to be able to articulate how you developed your forecast. And really, more importantly, your sales forecast demonstrates your aspirations for the business, where you want this thing to go. Your understanding of key drivers for profitability and growth, where all of those revenue streams are going to come from, and your understanding of your return on investment, or ROI, for your investors. There are typically 4 steps to developing a sales forecast. The first is you've got to determine the best method or the best approach for your particular business. We're going to talk about 2 different approaches today, and one of those I definitely would say would work better for most of you, and we'll talk about which one that one is and why in the next few slides. In order to develop a sales forecast, you really need to conduct both primary and secondary research. Primary research, again, is research that you're doing yourself, and secondary research is that research that has been done by others that you are appropriating for your use. So your Google searches, if you're relying on census data, stuff like that. Next, you're going to perform the analysis. And then finally, you break that analysis down into months if necessary. So those are your 4 steps. Let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 different forecasting methods. So we've got 2 methods, top-down and bottom-up. Top-down estimates revenue by starting at the upper level of the market and works its way down to the business revenue. I kind of think about top-down as like working through a funnel, right? You're starting at a very high level and then you're narrowing it down eventually to the market and eventually to your business level. Top-down is typically used when historical data isn't available, like in the case of a startup. There are some key terms that you have to be familiar with the top-down method. I'm going to go over those in just a minute. But really quickly, I'm going to tell you what the second method is, and that's bottom-up. And bottom-up projects revenue based on the number of customers that we think we can get with our marketing strategy and the amount that we think that they're willing to pay. Bottom-up is generally more credible than top-down, and it's going to be the preferred method for 99% of you. So let's talk about some forecasting terminology. Total available market, also known as TAM, is the total market demand for a product or service and the maximum revenue to be earned by everyone in that specific market. So think of, if we're thinking like, and again, this is very large, think like California might be your TAM for your particular product that you're selling. And then the service obtainable market is the percent of the market that could reasonably become customers based on the fit between the product and service and the business model. So if your TAM is your state of California, think of your SAM as maybe San Diego County. Okay, and then finally we have the serviceable obtainable market, or the SOM, and that's the percent of the SAM that the business could realistically capture. So TAM, California, SAM, San Diego County, and maybe your SOM is Oceanside. That makes sense. I'm going to work you through an example so you can see how this works. So anybody feel like coffee? I feel like coffee. I've got my coffee right with me right now so that I can talk you through this example. So using the top-down methodology, we've got a coffee shop located on the MiraCosta campus selling $4 cups of coffee on average for about 20 days a month. 20 days a month because no one is on campus on the weekends. So we think we can sell for 4 weeks, times that Monday through Friday, 5 days a week. So that's where we get our 20 days. Our TAM would be the total people living in Oceanside. And from the City of Oceanside website, that is currently about 176,000 people. Are all of those people going to make it to the MiraCosta campus or come to the MiraCosta campus just to buy a cup of coffee? No. So we need to narrow that down. So let's think about what the SAM is. The SAM is the total number of people who are able to purchase coffee from a shop located on campus. So this might be students, staff, and employees, or students and employees. And that number is about 11,500 people total. Are all of those 11,500 people coffee drinkers? No. Do they all come to campus on a regular basis? No. And so we know that we need to narrow that down even further into our SOM. And the SOM is going to be the total number of people on campus that we think we can potentially convert into a customer. And so for that, I'm going to take my SAM and I'm going to look at the percentage of coffee drinkers in the United States, which from the National Coffee Association, we know is about 64% of folks in the U.S. drink coffee. So I can narrow that down by 64%. And then the percentage of coffee drinkers who buy their coffee versus brewing at home, which is 21%. So here's how that looks to get my SOM, or to get my service obtainable market. So let's take a look at how this works. So I have my SAM of 11,500. That's my students and employees. We're going to multiply that by 64%. Remember that that is the percentage of folks in the United States who drink coffee. It's a safe assumption to say that MiraCosta is a microcosm of the overall U.S. population. So we multiply that by 64% and we get 7,360 people. Now remember, that's not our obtainable market though, because 21% of folks are likely to buy versus brewing at home. So we're going to take that number, 7,360, and we're going to multiply that by 21%, which gives us 1,545 people. That's not our number either though, because we have to narrow that down even more. That doesn't mean coffee shop on campus is guaranteed 1,545 customers. Some are going to buy before they get to campus. Okay, so let's estimate that number at 40%, which means that I have the potential to get 60% of that 1,545. Now, please note that 40% that I threw out there, that's an educated guess. I can get to that educated guess by asking people. I can get to that educated guess by observation. I can get to that educated guess by making a reasonable estimate. So 1,545 multiplied by 60% gives us 927 potential customers. Now, remember that not all of that 927 will buy from our coffee shop. We have the student center on campus. They sell coffee too in the cafe in the student center, and so let's say that 50% of those folks are going to buy it from the other cafe. So 927 times 50%. See how I'm going from a very large number, and I keep narrowing this down because we want to try to get as realistic as possible. So multiply by that 50%, and that gives us 463 realistic customers. So in order to get our forecasted revenue, we multiply that 463 by $4, which is the price of a cup of coffee. Multiply that by 20 days that we're open on campus, and that gives us $37,040 in February revenue. Notice I'm saying February revenue. The reason for that is that, like, let's take a look at January. January, school doesn't start until the third week of January, so to say that I would have $37,040 every month is not accurate. So for a business like this, where there is definite seasonality, there's, nobody's on campus in the summer, I would probably be wanting to calculate my revenue on a monthly basis, just to be as accurate as possible. So let's take a look at our forecast using the bottom-up method. So our business, still a coffee shop located on the MiraCosta campus, selling $4 cups of coffee on average of 20 days in the month. We observe the other shop on campus and find an average of 60 customers leave per hour. One of the things that I like about bottom-up is that it actually requires you to go out and do some customer counting. And I always advocate that when you do bottom-up, let's say you're interested in opening a coffee shop, you want to make sure to visit on multiple days at multiple times of day, so that you can get an accurate average customer per hour. So, calculation. Let's assume that we can get half of those 60 customers, so we've got 30 customers. We multiply that times the 10 hours that we're open in a day. Multiply that by 20 days of operation in February, so we've got 6,000 cups sold at $4 per cup, which gives us $24,000 in February revenue. And so that is our bottom-up method, starting at the customer level and then working our way up to what our sales are going to be. So top down is definitely the funnel going down, and then bottom up, we're just building back up to the top of the funnel. To recap, using our top down method, we've got $37,400. Bottom up, $24,000. Why the difference? Because bottom up is based on historical data. So in our example, we went out and did an actual observation on campus close to our location. This in general is better than using statistical averages because it takes into consideration the nuances specific to the MiraCosta market, or the nuances specific to the market that you're selling in. That's why bottom up is preferred, and that's why bottom up is more credible. So where do I find the numbers for my sales forecast? Well, so you can do simple Google searches. That's where I got the number from the National Coffee Association. Professional associations can certainly give you good information. There's a professional association for everything, even, pizza shop owners. And so it's good to go to those professional associations. State, county, and city websites. Current or former business owners. SANDAG is a San Diego coalition of governments. Their website is sandag.org. Great information in their resources site. The U.S. Census Bureau. Doing your own target market surveys, questionnaires. The MiraCosta librarians can be a fabulous help here, and they can help with helping you to identify good resources anywhere on that list. And me. I am absolutely happy to help you craft a sales forecast that makes sense for your business. So with that, I think we are done forecasting coffee sales, and it's time for a coffee break to go enjoy a nice cup of coffee.